Okay, it looks like I am live. Okay. All right. So let's get into this. So what I'm getting ready to finish up here, I was working on this at the airport and thought I would go ahead and finish it up. Looks like my audio is working, so I thought I would go ahead and finish it up. And not sure how, but I'm going to do it. But while I'm working on this and figuring out what I want to do with this image, I thought I would talk about AI. And as you guys know, I'm a big proponent of artificial intelligence. I happen to really love it. I see a lot of use cases for it. Um, so I advocate for it. I advocate for the use of it, and so that's my stand on it. And I recognize there are three emerging factions, uh, for lack of better terms, three emerging factions on artificial intelligence. There are those who are, let's call them worried, the worried warts. They're afraid of it, don't want anything to do with it, think it should get shut down. There's that side. And then there's the gung ho side, who's all in. They're just going for it, and consequences be damned. They're all in. But there's this centerpiece that's kind of shades of, you know, they recognize the concerns, the real concerns of artificial intelligence, but you're moving ahead. And then there are those who kind of like, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not a big deal. Yes, it's going to move, but they don't think it's a big deal. They think it's kind of that this AI is really just a collection of data, fancy algorithm, if you will, and so they're not concerned. And I think there's a lot of room. If I were to play it, I think I can settle in all of these courts and say the people who think it's not a big deal, who say it's just a fancy algorithm, I think there's a point to it that says that a lot of what we're seeing right now is fluff. It's not real. It's companies trying to find a way to raise funds by saying they're part of the artificial intelligent revolution. So they're calling it AI when in fact it's not AI. So there is a lot of that. So you can look at the software and see that a good 80 to 90% of it will not be around in 5 years. It won't stand up. You can see that. So there's a lot of that. But they may be underestimating the power of it. And I think that's a concern. And then if we address the ones who would say that they're completely afraid of it, should get shut down, I think I think we need to acknowledge that there is a concern there. And I think if we look at, and I'm going to go back to the Industrial Revolution and really look at what happened with the Industrial Revolution, with the new technology and the fear that it came about, the disruption that it brought about. Even if you talk about electricity, the steam engine, Henry Ford with the industrialization and of human labor. Um, you know, you look at all of those things and what happened. Uh, it was very disruptive, and In 1972, when Nixon went to China, Asia opened up, and at the same time, automation and robots and everything else and technology was advancing. We saw a lot of hardship happen because of that. I mean, jobs went overseas, communities were devastated, and I believe what they thought, and I believe what they thought was that. Let me kind of close this up. I tend to think what they thought was that what would happen is that this technology would come in, and people would transition easily to new jobs. That as the jobs came in, the new technology would come in. Okay. And so I think that's what people thought. And part of that it was the case. But I think what happened is that the transition didn't take place fast enough. And I don't think they accounted for culture. Let's say for example, if you're in South Carolina, right, and you're working at a factory, and there's a culture in South Carolina that you live in, and when that job goes away, and let's say something else opens up in Ohio, it doesn't mean you're going to move to Ohio. And I think that was the thinking, that people would transition to the jobs. They would pick up, leave, transfer to the jobs without thinking of the cultural aspect of it. Is that I'm not leaving my family, I'm not leaving my friends, I'm not leaving the lifestyle that I've grown to accustom, and so they they stayed. A lot of people stayed. And in the 70s, when they were thinking about this, and they would say, oh, the jobs would go here and the other jobs would come up and people would move, it didn't happen. Then, of course, the training and the support didn't really take place. And we know it didn't take place for African Americans. Let's face it, Black people were decimated, right? But if we think about it, if we think about it right now, right, at least the one thing that we can have, I don't know if I can actually talk and do this. Let's see. Let's I don't know if I can. Okay. I don't know if I can talk and work on my thing. Okay. So let's get to it. Okay, so the one thing that we would say right now, right? What's happening right now, we are in the beginning stages of this, but we can't say at least we're thinking about it. That unlike the 70s, where a lot of assumptions were made, I don't think a lot of people are making the same assumptions. That this is going to be easy, that any lost jobs will get recreated by new jobs, that you can train your way, you can upskill your way out of this. I don't think anyone's making those assumptions. I think if you're making those assumptions, for me, I think you need to question those assumptions. You really need to question those assumptions, because I can say yes, um, you will upskill, you will go to new jobs will get created, but I don't know that. What if it doesn't happen? Okay. What if it happens in a way that's completely unexpected? I don't know that. And so I think we have to take that. And I think the way I think about it is that I have this filter that I run through. I'm going to run through technology through a filter. And I have some questions that I'm going to ask. And I have a generic questions. My generic questions are, um, what might happen? That's the first generic question. It's a very generic question. I look at the technology, what might happen, right? And the second question is, Well, what else might happen? Because I'm sitting here saying this might happen, but I need to question that assumption. Always question the assumption. Okay. What else might happen? Okay. The third general question. What are the variables that will what are the variables that will determine if something will or will not happen? Okay. So we have a lot of things with AI. Does the technology go faster than we expect? Does the technology flop? Let's talk about cryptocurrency. We thought cryptocurrency, well, I never really believed in cryptocurrency or NFTs. I think they have a place, but I think we got some time with those, right? So, but everyone was thinking, oh, this is the new wave, decentralization of currency and everything like that. I never thought that. I questioned that the entire time. But some people were all in, and I think if you're all in on any side of technology, you you do need to ask that second question: what else might happen? Because I'm saying this is going to happen, but what else? It may not turn out the way you think, and so even my own predictions, my own assumptions, my own conclusions, I'm questioning them. I'm always questioning them. I have a question: am I right? I don't think I am. I think whatever I'm thinking is not going to be what I think it is. And so I have to understand that that's the way it's going to be. So those are the three questions, right? But those three questions take it's passive. It's a passive question. What might happen? That's everything else. What else might happen? That's everything else on the outside. What are the variables that will determine if something will or will not happen? That's everything on the outside. Okay, the fourth question: what do I want to happen? This is where we get agency. So if you've interacted with me on Facebook at any point, you know that I'm a firm believer in agency. I'm a firm believer in human agency. I believe it's the fundamental aspect of human creation, of human endeavors, is agency. I think when you take someone's freedom away from them to decide their own destiny, you will get pushback no matter what. I believe that. And I also believe that we have to take control. We have to be our own agents of our own future. So I believe that too. And this is where I start to think, well, what do I want to happen? Okay, with everything that's going on, I'm looking at this technology and I'm looking at a couple of sides of it because I see artificial intelligence, but I'm also looking at automation. I'm a robot guy. I'm in Minnesota right now training someone advanced techniques on a robot. So I'm a robot guy. And we always know the robots are coming. So, and here's the thing about the robots: the AI and vision. We haven't even talked about that. We haven't even talked about vision technology, where it's at right now. It's unbelievable, right? For robots. So, vision, artificial intelligence, and robots. Man, when you put those together, I trust me, I understand why you guys are scared because, man, the capabilities are just crazy, right? But we need to ask this question: what do I want to happen? And this is where we start to put some control into these things, where we start to guide how this is going to play in our lives. And I posted this on my question. Is like, when I'm looking at a new technology, I'm looking at it, what what can this technology do that allow me to do that I couldn't do before? What can I do today that I couldn't do before? I used to always think, if you ever listen to, I don't know if anyone listened to XM radio Um, hello, let's see, what was that? Johnny Dollar. If you listen to the old Johnny Dollar, the old radio shows, I've always wanted to create those. I've always wanted to create those, except that it was the acting. I don't have an acting voice. I can't act. And so that was always that barrier that I couldn't create those. Well, the AI voices have gotten so good now that I do create them now. And because I'm a video editor, let me look at some of the things. Let's see, show this. Let's see, as long as AI robots to develop human emotions, we're good. But if they develop emotions, we're done. Derek, you might be right about that. Okay, yeah, you might be right about that. So it's so I've always wanted to do that. So when it comes to technology, it's just saying, what does it allow me to do that I couldn't do before? And then the second question is, what am I able to do more efficiently than I was before? I think we have to ask these questions. So there's 5 questions right there that you should filter this technology through those that filter. It is through those filter that technology through those questions. It is, what will happen? What do I think will happen? Or what might happen? What else might happen? Okay. What are the variables that will determine if it will or will not happen? What do I want to happen? What am I able to do that I couldn't do before? And what am I able to do more efficiently than I were before? That's where we're at. And the final question is, how do what are the fundamental skills I need to have to transition as fast as the technology? This is the thing I've always said about Industry 4.0. All right. When we talk about Industry 4.0, we're talking about Internet of Things. We're talking about sensors. We're talking about robotics. We're talking about adaptive manufacturing. We're talking about now where they talk about hyper and flexible manufacturing, bespoke manufacturing. There's a lot of technology that's taking place that's allowing us to do things we've never been able to do before. And you need to ask yourself this question: what are the fundamental skills I need to do to help me transition as fast as the technology? You need to ask that question. Okay. You have to ask that question, because otherwise you're sitting in fear. And this is what I want to get to really push this idea, is that we can't sit here and be afraid of this. We have to be mindful of it. We can have our concerns. Obviously, we can have our concerns. There are a lot of ethical concerns when you talk about the image generation. I'm using an artist's name to generate an image. That artist is not being paid for that. That creation was his. The AI didn't really create that. The AI just said, I'm going to take this amalgamation of all these different artists. I'm going to create something because I know what he created already. That's a problem. And I think Adobe is trying to address that, but how well they do that is up to them, because even in their stock images, they have AI images. So that's I'm a firm believer that we have to think that we're in this place, right? And unless I'm not a conspiracy guy. You guys know how I feel about conspiracies. I'm not really big on conspiracies because it's kind of like looking at a field of prairie dogs and seeing a bunch of holes, and who knows how deep each hole goes, and it's a never ending question. They're just constantly asking questions, never answering anything, right? So I don't do conspiracies, but I will give them this. I do think that maybe the questions we need to ask. It takes a conspiratorial mind because we're off into a place that we really have never gone before. That human capabilities and human productivity with this technology is going to take us to places that we probably haven't been before. And so I think you do have to think outside of the box, and you may have to ask some questions that sounds like a conspiracy, but it may be that, you know, there are no boundaries. What are the boundaries? Okay. So that's really kind of what I wanted to address. And, I'm sitting in a hotel and drinking beer. By the way, can I show this? What? I'll figure it out. I'll put it in the chat what this is. This is a very good beer. This is New Glarus Brewing Company. It's called Moon Man. Um, no Coastal Pale Ale. Very good beer. And I love ambers. I love pale ales. I love my wheat beers. Love my lagers. So very good beer. Especially just to sit here and kind of ramble on. I was gonna do my doodle. This one may fall through the cracks because I've done 200 doodles, and I'm down to I have about 30 of them that are still work in progress. But that's really what it is. But that's the part I wanted to address was thinking about AI, thinking about technology, and like you said, we've overlooked the fact that automation is something else. When you look at the number of manufacturing jobs in the U.S., okay, in 1972, something like it was 25% of the economy. In 1982, it had gone down to 20. 1992, it was down to 16. Then it got all the way down to 10. And then in 2020, it bumped up a little bit. Okay. And it's going up a little bit because of technology. So the percentage that manufacturing will have on this economy is going to grow because we're able to do so much with this technology. Okay. And I think that's something we have to think about. And I think the thing too is that being an entrepreneur, this is one of the things that comes up a lot is that don't go to college, be an entrepreneur. Well, an entrepreneur in what? Because right now, I think if you wanted to be an entrepreneur, what AI has done, this is what the technology has done, right? I have an idea, and I think I put it out there. And Derek, if you're still watching, I put it out there about my idea about manning my Outlook box, and where something comes in, automatic generation to respond. Now that was an idea in my head. It came because I saw that maybe this technology is capable of doing that. But the biggest thing that we had before is that it could be in your head, but the problem is that the steps to get something done are foreign. It's opaque. You can't see it. You can't do it. You don't even know what questions to ask. And so it never goes anywhere except it's just like you're thinking like with your guys, like, oh man, you know what? I believe I could do this and this and this, but no one can tell you how to do it. There's no books on it. There's nothing. Well, now all of a sudden there is, because now I have a place I can go and say, is this possible? It says yes. How is it possible? Well, it's possible if you do these 10 steps. Okay, write the code, and not a drill down code, but write the code that would make this work. It spits out the code for you. Now, you need a software engineer. You need someone to go through it because I don't know Python. I don't need know C sharp. So I don't know if it'll really work. But what I have now is an idea of the steps. It's not opaque. It is, oh, this is the sandbox I need to play in. This is the code I need to write. Here's the API. Connect with this, do this. I don't fully understand all of it, but I know enough to know that, okay, it sounds right. Yeah. And yeah, Derek, it is. That's pretty dope, right? And and that's what it is. So when I say that AI has made the world descriptive, what I'm saying is that I can sit here, come up with something, and do it. Let me show you guys something. I'm going to show you guys something here. Let me pull this up because this right here. I want to show you guys something. All right. So check this out. I said I wanted to do world building, right? This is what I came up with. I didn't know how I was doing. And then I just said, okay, you know what? Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. I'm gonna have to copyright all of this stuff because this is some pretty good stuff. This is pretty dope. All right. So basically, I started with the process of like, hey, how do you do world building? I didn't even know how do you do world building like Star Wars and Harry Potter, and that's all I did. This is what I asked it. Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and Star Wars are expansive worlds with hundreds of characters. I would like to learn how to world build where I can build any world in any genre. What type of steps what are the steps to world building? This is what I asked. And this is what it gave me. Define the genre, develop the history timeline, establish your geography, create the cultures, develop the characters. So it went through this process with me, right? Then I asked, well, give me the most 20 popular genres. And here we go. It gave me some genres. All right. Okay. And then it says, while these are genres well explored, there are some lesser known genres and subgenres that have great potential for world building. Here are a few. Okay. And that's because I asked, are there others? All right. And so it went through some, and this is the one that stuck out to me. Afrofuturism. Okay. Let's go deeper. This goes a lot farther. All right. So I chose Afrofuturism. Okay. And then it says, and then it gave me here are the steps you would need to build an Afrofuturism world. The research African history and culture, blend the African elements to futuristic and concepts, develop unique social structure, create diverse characters, explore the theme of identity, culture, and resilience. I mean, this is really good stuff. I don't know how long it would have taken me to do this. Incorporate technology and science. Consider the role of spirituality and mysticism. All right. So it goes through those things and says, all right. Then it says, okay, these are the things we need to think about: history, religion, social structure, language, art, customs, clothing, food. Okay. So I go there. And so it's going through this. And then here's the thing it did: I asked for 10 diverse cultures. It gave me the cultures, right? And these are 10 fairly known cultures. I think anybody who's studied anything about African history, they've known this. Okay. But then I said, give me lesser known cultures, and gave me these 10. All right. All right. All right. And then we go through, and then we go through, um, then I have the types of cultures, right? But what do you need to kind of create this story to let them go? And so the isolationists, the expansionists, the spiritualists, the innovators, these are those archetypes. All right. So then it goes into a lot of stuff. But I'm just telling you, I went to world building and I got all the way down to clothing, customs. It gave me the details. And so here's what it did. This is something I did. All right. The Himbu people, I said, we're defining the culture, but we're going to rename them. And here's the new name. And the new name is basically derived from Netter and Olin, and it's inspired by real cultures. This I was able to do in about 4 days. We're talking about 4 days of work. Here are my characters. Okay. So I got my characters. Got the name, got the age, the personality, their goal, their skill. Okay. This is artificial intelligence. Now I'm going back and forth with this thing to kind of get what I want, but that's what it's doing. And so when we talk about the power of um you know this thing where let's do that. All right. When we talk about AI, what we're talking about it is moving at the speed of thought. How fast I can think of this is how AI is generating this thing. So I probably have 6 to 8 months of research done in a matter of days. So for those who are going to embrace this technology, what will happen is that you will 10x your productivity. If you go back to what I said before, you need to ask the questions. What can I do today that I couldn't do before? What can I do more efficiently than I can't do before? If you have an idea, then the AI will work for you. You know, so and as Derek said, as long as it doesn't become emotional, if we can't figure out as long as we don't put emotions in it, which let's face it, what if at some point it teaches itself emotions? Well, then you know what? Who knows? You're ass out, right? You're just gonna be ass out. But but what I'm saying now is that we can't be afraid of this. And I'm going to be very specific. I'm going to talk to Black people. Specifically, I want to talk to Black men right now, real quick. I saw this research that said the labor participation rate of Black men on the south side of Chicago right now is 61%. 61%. So you're saying that of all the Black men on the south side of Chicago, only 61% are participating in the labor force. If you look at the college rates of Black men over the last few years, it's down 21%. Now, personally, I don't think that's a bad thing because I think college has a lot of issues. But then you go to the skilled labor participation and the tech participation. All of that is down. And then you go to entrepreneurship. Who's starting up the most jobs? Well, it turns out that Black women are starting the most jobs. Where are all these Black men going? And if this technology is advancing the way it is, and we've already seen the report from McKinsey Consulting from 2000, I believe, 19, that says the demographic most at risk is African Americans, specifically Black men. We need to think about that. All right. We need to think about those unique human capabilities that's going to allow us to build. And I know people get mad at me. I know most of the time we want to spend our time talking about gender wars and being mad at black women and whatever, right? But we there's a tsunami coming, and black men are going to be the first to catch that wave if we don't change course now. And this is serious because we aren't starting jobs. Even when we do the startups, venture capitalists, as far as venture capital is concerned, we're only getting 1% of venture capital funding. 1%. All right. The jobs, the entrepreneurship that we do have, we create. We own 3% of the companies in America. We are 1% of the revenue. African American companies, black owned companies, make up 1% of all the revenues of entrepreneurial firms in the United States. 1%. Okay. So this thing about, oh, start your own job and start your career and everything like that. I want you to think about that. 1%, we only get 1% of VC funding. We only generate 1% of all entrepreneurial firm fund revenue in this country. Okay. We're down 21% as far as education attainment is concerned. We only make up about 6% of um, of the tech industry. We only make up about 11%, maybe less than that, of skilled labor. Okay. We're only 61% as far as the south side of Chicago is concerned in the labor market. What do you think is going to happen when this stuff really kicks in? What do we think will happen to black men when all of this kicks in? We should be worried. Yes. So when I talk about this stuff, understand that I'm talking about this stuff from a place as a black man looking at this, looking at the tech that's coming out, going to, I go to trade shows, I go to all these places. I'm one of a few that's ever there. Okay. I'm one of a few that's ever there. And it doesn't seem to be increasing. And then I come online, and half the brothers I'm talking to are in this conspiracy world about this stuff. They're not participating in it. They're afraid of it. They just gotten afraid of it. Oh, it's spooky. No, don't touch it. And it's like, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is coming? Okay. Do you think if you sit on the sidelines and not do anything about it, not participate in this, that it's going to get better, that it will miss you? It will not miss you. You are standing on the beach, black man. We are standing on the beach. The waves that were there on the shore have just moved out. And guess what? It is now rushing back at us. And we're standing there. We're not off to the side. We will be the first to get it. Guaranteed. Okay. So that's my rant, really. This is what I want to come on and talk about because I think this is serious. I think this is serious. And I think we need to talk about this. And I don't think we need to be afraid of it. I think we need to understand it. I think we need to ask questions. You can have concerns about it. And hell, every once in a while, have your conspiracy run off amok, right? Go ahead and do it. But do not ignore it. And do not think that somehow Elon Musk or whatever these guys who signed that letter, they're going to stop it. It's not. It's coming. It's coming. Right? It is coming. And it's coming fast. And if I go back to the start of my rant, in 1972, when Nixon went to China, we had questions about it and we did not answer those questions. And now we are sitting here at the cusp of a new revolution. All right. We've been talking about the industrial 4.0 for a few years now. We know that's coming. This is something totally different, and it's coming. All right. But this time we're asking questions, and this time we should not be surprised what happens. The only surprise is that it may move faster than we thought. That's the only surprise that's left. That's it. There are no other surprises. The only surprise is how fast will they get here? That's the only surprise that's remaining. All right. So that's it. Sorry, guys. If you want to see a Photoshop doodle, I guess I could. Hold on. Let's. All right. Let's do this. All right. So what can I do to this in 3 minutes? All right. Let's work. All right. So let me finish up with the rant, and then let's go ahead and work on this for 3 minutes. What can I do for 3 minutes? I look at the car. The car is a little bit dark. Let me throw. I can kind of walk through this real quick. I'm going to hold Alt, click, change it to soft light, fill gray, make a clipping, dump, come here, brush. Let's get a soft round brush. All right. So I said I want to finish this up tonight. All right. So what I got to do is flow down to 11. And we'll just kind of darken this right here. Let's come up. All right. So I want to I want the, but all of this was too bright. Like this is really bright, isn't it? I'm going to darken that. I don't think I'll get that much darker unless I put a brightness and contrast. All right. And I darken it. Yeah. Let's do that. Invert this. And now we can. There we go. Just want to darken that down just a little bit. So that's a little bright. Now you can see what I've done now. I've made her, she is so bright. We're going to have to darken it. All right. I'm going to give this 3 more minutes, darken this down, get that down to there. Yeah, it's better. And then I guess the question now is, where do I want the light to come from? Soft light. Seems like the light is here, so this side should be dark. It seems that way. Let me see. All right. And then get that light on that side over there. All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. So final thing. All right. If I stop here, let me do this. I'm going to call this one done in a few seconds here. Filter. Camera. Okay. So I said I wanted to, this was the purpose of this little rant. So just to kind of finish this up. So let's go to, I'm gonna do my basic thing of And cool it down. Maybe not that much. Throw some magenta in it. Get my exposure up a little bit. Highlights. I'm not gonna do anything with texture. Details. I typically like to go 50 and 25. All right. And I'm not gonna do color mix. That's fine. Do we need a color grade? Midtones. We don't. I want midtones to be. Seems like it should have some like orange in here, shouldn't it? Yeah, let's get that. All right. And then one last color lookup. What if we give it fall colors, but take the opacity down a little bit? All right. Do that. And then a final. What about what if we do this? Let's just give a final. Let's do that. Do that, and then levels. All right, I'm bootlegging this because I said I wanted to finish tonight, and I didn't. So now, Control I up here. Darken that. Come here, and then feather. Done. Okay. We'll call this one done. All right. Sorry, guys. I bootlegged it. I may come back and revisit it, but more than likely I won't because I don't do that. Once I call something done, I'm done. All right. That's it. So what the hell am I doing? Oh, that's it. I'm out. Peace.